Hi everyone, this is Jay and welcome to the Late Night Connections, a show where we celebrate the power of creativity, diving into art of building and exploring how action transforms ideas into reality. As always, we have a remarkable guest on our hand today and we're going to be talking to him, and his name is none other than Ian Yee. The Fourth stands as an award-winning media company on a steadfast mission to champion social justice through the compelling art of investigative journalism and impactful media campaigns. Founded by six seasoned investigative journalists and documentary filmmakers, the collective accolades include an impressive tally of over 40 prestigious awards. Inception of the Fourth arose from unwavering belief in imperative need of fearless, independent, and impact-oriented investigative journalism. In pursuit of this vision, they established themselves as a non-profit social enterprise, fostering a space free from political and corporate influence. Their multifaceted endeavors encompass groundbreaking investigative journalism, the creation of hard-hitting multimedia documentaries, impactful marketing campaigns aimed at promoting social change, training and consulting services for organizations seeking to craft their own impactful media content, and the provision of top-tier commercial production services. That is all about The Fourth. Go check them out, and we're going to talk to Ian. All right, so as we start things off, we'll just let you know I'm wearing a brown shirt with, is it brown? What color is it? Shit, yellow, okay.
Is it yellow though?
Isn't, see? Mustard, okay, mustard, okay.
A deep mustard.
Jeez. Faces as well. Okay. All right, as always, just to explain what are we wearing, I'm wearing a dark mustard shirt with my hair down, with glasses, and sitting on a table. And Ian?
Yes, I'm wearing a black shirt. Black. I'm always in all black, so I'm wearing black.
All right, black with long hair and glasses, right?
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
Thank
Before we start with all the serious questions or like the questions time, can you tell us a bit about yourself? A fun fact.
Fun fact about myself: I am a huge fan of '90s R&B.
Ooh,
Big
hip-hop.
fan. Like no, like
R&B,
R&B, old school. Yeah, I guess '90s is old school now, right? Yeah.
Yes. I think what I just saw, like I think hip hop is in its 50 years, but R&B also is like in that conception
right.
time.
Yeah.
So in our time, that's great, nice. Thanks for sharing that bit about yourself. My first question is going to ask you a lot about the things that you guys are doing in the Fourth. As I read, your bio, and just because we know you also for a long time, it's great to see the mission and stuff that y'all are doing. But maybe you can give our audience a bit of a deep dive of what social justice and investigative journalism is all about.
Sure. So I think most people know we used to be from the Rage team at the Star. So we used to do a lot of investigative work, undercover work, and mainly we investigate issues that are social justice related. I guess probably the piece that people know us best for is called Predator in My Phone. We did this undercover operation on child sexual groomers and exposing them, and the tactics that they were using to groom underage children for sexual exploitation. And we call it impact-driven investigative journalism because we don't just stop at exposing the problem. For example, we don't just show people like, oh, this is how terrible it is when these adults use chat apps to groom children, but we also try to fix Malaysian laws around this form of grooming at the time.
Right.
So Malaysia didn't have any laws around it, right? So you can have these conversations with young children, groom them and desensitize them to these issues, and then after that, some form of exploitation takes place. So because of the great work of the team at the time, we had a really, really amazing, talented team of young people.
Right.
Because of their work, we were able to help pass the Sexual Offences Against Children Act, which now protects children from all kinds of sexual exploitation. So it was a great moment for us, and that's kind of a bit of what we do. Yeah, it's also why I'm late today. I'm so sorry. I'm like 2 hours late for this for this interview today
Yeah.
because we're also investigating something else
Huh.
in Perak. I think some of you may have seen the videos on that already. Some farmers are being evicted, and today there was a fairly violent incident that happened in one of the farms.
Oh no.
So we had to drive straight up to cover it to make sure that media was there to record the incident and the fallout and hold whoever is responsible
Yeah.
accountable. If there is.
So in these kind of situations, are you all like the only group that's doing this? Is there other people also in the scene usually? How does that happen?
Yeah, I think there are pockets of journalists who are doing really really great work as well in terms of investigative work. We've always looked up to the team at Malaysia Kini. They have a great team there that they have some journalists there that do great investigative work. Um, but it's few and far between. I think everybody knows Malaysian media, just the ecosystem, the environment,
Yeah.
the laws that we have in place don't exactly support this kind of investigative work.
Yeah.
So on one hand, we're proud that we've been able to do this, but we are also we also feel concerned a lot that we wish that there were more people that could share this space with us, which is also why we run an academy to try to train other young people to be able to do this kind of work, or even young professionals. We know that a lot of newsrooms, a lot of journalists across Malaysia really want to do this kind of work.
Yeah.
There are a lot of very, very talented journalists out there, but they just can't find a space to do it. They can't find the resources, they can't find the legal support. They can't find the institutional support within their own organizations to do it. So it's such a big risk, right? So we want to be able to support them in doing that.
Okay, I will go into the academy part afterwards, but I just want to know, like, seeing this being risky, and also before this interview, I was also like reading up a little bit about how journalists are feeling, and is it growing or is it not? I mean, it's kind of like in the fence, like some people are scared to enter. It's not like a growing demand, but also there's a lot of independent journalists and people doing it as bloggers or as independent citizen and stuff like that. So do you think the risk is, I know the risk is one big part, how do you manage that in one area, and then what do you think other journalists are feeling in this area? Is it something that's growing, or is it something they share similarly in that way?
Yeah, I think over the past few years, we've definitely seen a decreasing interest in journalism, right? I think journalism has been under attack severely for the past few years, whether it's from rogue US presidents or your rogue US presidents are. But generally, I think in many countries where there is like authoritarian rule or where they're leaning towards authoritarian rule, there will be attacks on the press, right? And that makes it difficult for the media to thrive. And then it becomes a vicious cycle, right? So the media is weakened, they can't do their jobs in really like holding power to account, and then the people lose faith in it, and then less people want to be journalists, and then the journalists can't hold power to account, and then it's a cycle, right? So I think it's so easy to fall into that trap where it's a slippery slope, especially when you have authoritarian rule. You have politicians who are attacking the media and using the media as a scapegoat. Whenever they say wrong things, they're like, "Oh, you see, media misquote me again. You see, media trying to spin." So it's such an easy excuse these days, and it's happening a lot. So it's completely understandable. I feel that a lot of Malaysians are thinking twice before they go into journalism. But hopefully, I think we're seeing a bit of a resurgence. In Malaysia, we're seeing more independent journalists, young journalists, even I think a lot of activists are starting to take up that role, to play that role as the fourth estate, to hold power to account. And we're very fortunate to be able to work with a lot of those people now.
Nice. I mean, yes, exactly. With the power of like mobile phones and digital age, I think everybody can do their part in a way to fix that story and show different sides of it even, and that creates that conversation. So I guess that's one big part where I think journalists or news in its essence itself is supposed to bring up those kind of messages that doesn't get covered. So want to talk about some of the work that you have done, that you have got quite a bit of recognition in a way.
Very
Like,
fortunate. Yeah.
I mean, that's great to see, like, that some of these works have taken some wind of its own and story of its own. Could you share like some of I mean, a lot of awards I can imagine. I saw 40 awards that was
Yeah.
said. Could you just highlight like some of these and how did these come about? Is this something you need to apply or something you all received? Some highlights over there.
Yeah, it's always a mixed bag, right? With these
Yeah.
awards, most of them you have to apply for. You have to put your name in the hat in the first place, right? So you got to say, "Hey, we did some great work. Can you please consider us?"
True.
So we were obviously struggling at the start, right? Like I thought the team was doing really, really great work. Um, but sometimes, you're in Malaysia, you're seen as a young team. It's easy for people to dismiss
Mm-hmm.
the work that we do. And it was harder for us to open doors as well as we were going to get interviews and all that. So we needed that recognition. So we applied for a lot of these awards. I personally put up a lot of our stories. So my team has done amazing work with or without me. They do so much great work.
Yeah.
And I took it as my responsibility to say, I'm going to put your name forward for this award and that award. And in some cases, obviously, people have come to us and said, you do great work. Can we nominate you? Can we consider you for this award?
Yeah.
So, for example, one that we got that we were very, very proud of
Mhm.
was the United Nations Award.
Ooh.
So we got that, and for Predator on My Phone, for that project
Okay.
on child sexual grooming that we did. Um, Others, like we were nominated for a Peabody Award,
Ooh.
which was
That's a big
amazing.
one. Yeah.
Which we got twice. So we were
Oof.
nominated twice. Um, and and it's obviously massive. There are very
Yeah.
few like Asian
Asians representation like that. Yeah.
organizations that actually get nominated. We're, as far as we know, we're the first Malaysians, or even potentially for Southeast Asians to be
Yeah.
nominated.
Yeah.
So it was a big deal, and we were happy to represent. But we didn't win both times, so maybe the third time.
Close.
Yeah, third
Close.
time's the charm.
I think even trying itself is a great thing. So
Yeah,
congrats in doing the work that you do.
yeah.
Want to talk about impactful stories. What are some examples of investigative journalism stories that you have found had profound impact on addressing, and how do you navigate these sensitive topics?
Yeah, for me, I think Malaysia, we've had some good examples recently, right? I think 1MDB work that The Edge did in
Yep.
exposing that. That's a good example of investigative journalism leading to impact. I think people take that for granted.
Yeah.
Um, I think globally we've had a lot of good examples as well. But I like to think like locally, I again coming back
Yeah.
to our team back at Rage, wherever they are, a lot of us are working in different sectors, doing different things. But I always remember them what they've done there, and it was really, really incredible. It was very rare. It's very rare that you get a group of people who are so talented, who are so driven, and so values based as well, right? That have all
Right.
the same and a lot of really good values. So like we did some work on what we call student trafficking. So
Right.
we looked
Yes.
into how fake colleges were abusing the student visa system
Yeah.
to bring young people into the country and then exploit them as forced labor.
Yeah.
So we exposed that, and that led to some changes in how universities are allowed to recruit students, right?
Oh.
Obviously, Predator, my phone was the biggest example. You get a law changed that was, that almost had universal support.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, again, lots of great NGOs that supported us and activists that support us in all the work that we do. Yeah, it's kind of we've had some good ones. Yeah.
And then when you're talking about these issues, because some of it, like, you're telling the whole college system to change and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I guess it does get sensitive in a way, right? Like, what would you say, like, any tips or how to maneuver that in this climate in a way?
It's always good to be solutions driven, I think. So we always try to make sure that we're not just exposing problems and problems and problems, right? I think it's easy as journalists to fall into that trap. Yeah, you highlight problems and everybody gets really upset about it, outraged, and you get a surge of popularity. I think it's harder than to be a bit more nuanced, to look at both sides and say, well, yeah, here's the very complicated and complex reality where these problems live in, and also to find sometimes very complex solutions to complex problems, right?
Yeah.
So when you're proposing solutions, generally speaking, people who are on the wrong side of these issues are like, okay, you're not just attacking me.
Mm.
You're offering us a way to solve this problem. And usually there's a reason why it's not solved, right?
Yeah.
And we have to go in and understand from their perspective as well, why is this happening and why hasn't it been fixed?
Mhm.
And that's when we can start offering solutions. And then everybody wins. So yeah, that's our tip.
Nice. I definitely support those kind of ideas, definitely,
Yeah.
because why just talk problem, 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 problem,
Yeah,
problem,
right.
and then you talk about solution for 1 minute and then, okay, dismiss. It's like,
Yeah, yeah,
whoa, you should
yeah.
break it down more and like have
That's
more of
right.
these discussions. So
That's right.
great, solutions driven. That's a best tip that you can take back
Yeah.
from that. In terms of collaborative efforts, how does the Ford collaborate with civil society organizations and corporate companies to amplify your social impact?
That's probably one of the things that we're most fortunate to be able to do. I think over the years, we're lucky from the time when we were at Rage, we were able to build a lot of these relationships with organizations to build trust, to earn trust. I think it has to be
Yep.
earned, right? So we do good work as far as we can. Sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes we fail miserably. Sometimes we come up short. But hopefully, I think, thankfully, people see the effort put in by the team, by how genuine they are in wanting to achieve a positive impact. That they're not in it just to get credit for themselves. They're not in it to climb some kind of ladder.
Mhm.
So I think generally that's probably the best way to build, meaningful collaborations, to really be in it for the impact and nothing else.
Are they scared of you? Like in case you're gonna discover something that they are doing wrong, or like they can't
Ah,
say this
right,
on their side. I don't know whether they might think like, okay, don't report about us here
right,
or like
yeah,
anything like
like
that.
especially corporates, right?
Yeah.
So far so good. I think if you're I think most corporates, by the time they come to us, they know already like where we stand. They know
Right.
they know what our values are, and if they were involved in anything that's shady, they wouldn't have called us in the first place. I think,
Yeah.
but obviously we always like to take a look at the company and what it stands for as well. What other things that they've done? What are their corporate practices like?
Mhm.
Yeah, but so far, the partners we've worked with, thankfully, none of them have turned out to be terrible.
Right.
Have yeah,
Okay.
most of
Yeah, you
them have been
can't catch
genuinely
everything, right? Because it's not anywhere. They will probably hide it somewhere and you can't even, know about all these other things maybe
yeah. Who knows?
sometimes.
Who
Yeah.
knows, right? Yeah.
So
So
it's quite
far,
tough. But
nothing.
I mean, yeah, it's good. Do your due diligence, and when
Yeah,
you do it based on what services that you're going to provide. They should know already by then. So
yeah,
that's good. I guess I know this also tracks into that same part of cooperation and collaboration. I wanted to figure out, like, in terms of sustaining this as a business, how do you, or what would you advise even independent journalists or even somebody who wants to start a company? I think it's two parts, but yeah.
yeah. I think if we had the answer, we wouldn't. Yeah,
Be working and struggling 24 hours like
yeah,
this.
yeah. I wouldn't have arrived 2 hours late to this interview. No, I don't think there's an easy answer,
Mm,
but I think I'm leaning to it. So I think media, the funding model has changed
okay.
dramatically over the past 10 years, right? In the past, you have like these big media companies, newspaper companies, radio, TV that
Yeah. You only
you
can
have,
rely on them. That's it.
yeah, you have all the advertising revenue goes to them.
Yeah.
Obviously, when Google, Facebook, and all that they come into picture, they're sucking up all the ad dollars away
Mhm.
and putting very little back into like local communities and local media companies. So there's a huge discussion there. That's why in some countries like Canada and Australia, they're already taking action,
Hmm.
legislative action to make sure that these big tech companies pay their fair share to media organizations, to news media organizations.
Oh, wow.
Because news media drives obviously a lot of
Yeah.
traffic on
Yeah.
social media, right?
Correct.
You go to whenever there's a big breaking news, most of the time you're opening your favorite social media platform to see, oh, is
Yeah.
it what's happening, what's going on, right? So obviously the news cycle plays a huge role in social media, but at the same time, social media is killing the news business, right?
Hmm.
So that has changed dramatically. A lot of news organizations now are then forced to downsize, forced to then go through, not forced to, I guess it's a natural progression. Then they will move on towards having paywall. So you have to
Right.
pay to read that news, and so on and so forth. So in our case, we wanted to try the social enterprise route.
Mhm.
We didn't want to rely too much on other forms of advertising.
Right.
So we run, training programs, we offer educational programs, we offer commercial production services, and we apply for a lot of grants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you need a lot of grant writers.
Yeah. We
Not
and
only
we only
creative
have
writers.
one.
Oh, well, it's good to start with one, But that's your sales lead, That's your person to bring in the money after that,
That would be
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
but yes, okay.
All right, so it falls on you. So you do a lot of the grant writing stuff.
Yeah, that also speaks another thing,
Mm.
another point that that's been running through my mind a lot. Somebody told me this.
Yeah.
Somebody who's in the social, who's in the media startup space in Southeast Asia,
Right.
recently said to me that we really have to rethink this because um, journalism, or
Yeah.
good independent journalism,
Yeah.
was never meant to be a profitable thing,
Business
right?
or
It's
something,
it's never meant to be a profitable business,
Yeah.
right? If you really want to do good individual, you're not supposed to take you shouldn't be taking
You
ad
shouldn't take,
dollars
yeah.
and all that, right? So it should be a public service, right? It
Right.
should be some form of government contribution, and then and you make it independent from whoever the government of the day is.
Yeah.
That money is guaranteed. So I'm thinking more along those lines. So trying to apply for philanthropic funding that again has no strings attached, that is very carefully,
Yeah.
guardrailed so that there's no
Yeah, because if
intervention.
if you're funded by one side of the government, you're gonna have to report
I-
on this side, and
Exactly,
it doesn't
exactly.
serve the purpose after
Yeah.
that. I like the things you were saying about how Australia and other countries maybe they're doing something
Yeah.
different. Do you care to explain a bit more, just maybe more
Sure,
stuff or
yeah.
other things that you've seen other countries,
Oh,
maybe just to
Yeah.
because some of us have never read that side of the story.
No worries. I hope I get this right.
Yeah.
But because these days,
It changes,
our
yeah.
minds are like, our brains are all over the place. Running a social enterprise, trying to do investigative work, trying to raise funds is really, it's been a great challenge. It's a lot of fun, but it's also, pulling our focus away a lot of times. But
Right.
so what has happened in Canada
Mm.
is they created a law that required Facebook to pay like certain amount of their revenue or their profits to news organizations. If I get that correctly, if I'm correct, if I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments or whatever.
Right in the comments.
Something like that. And I think it was the same scenario with Australia.
Okay.
So what I think it was Facebook did was they said, well, then I'm just not gonna show any news content on Facebook.
Oh.
I think Facebook and Instagram as well in Canada. So
Right.
say, well, it's like if you take content from these news organizations, you should pay for those news organizations.
Right.
So say, well, then I just won't show any news content on our feeds.
Yeah.
Which is obviously a very dangerous thing for any society, right?
Yeah.
Like,
You don't get informed then.
yeah, yeah,
You're either ill-informed or not informed, then, and that's it.
yeah, yeah.
Oof.
You'll definitely be ill-informed.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody's gonna fill that
Gap. in the way,
Yeah,
Right.
you're gonna
and
get some bloggers or
Yeah, you're just gonna get all feeds and stuff. That's
all
it.
weird
Which is not
things.
even
Yeah,
real
all bad things.
collaborated stories.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay. Dangerous waters, but I like the idea of new things. Because it's not one size fits all. It's try this, try that, and then you can figure out what works. Even once upon a time, I was just thinking like, every media agency should be run by the opposition party so that they will call them the other side. But
That is interesting.
but sometimes these guys go to the extreme, so that's also too much. They just
Yeah,
go
yeah.
one small thing, they call it like a huge big deal out of it and stuff.
Yeah.
But I guess there's room for us to still learn and adapt or figure this out.
Exactly. And actually I think so we talked about guardrails, right? Like you can accept you can be funded by the government, but still have really, really strict like principles in place on how
Correct.
you operate,
Yeah.
and the government is not allowed to interfere with that
Interfere.
at all. So that
Yes.
can be legislated for. Like you see, like
Yeah.
the BBC and all that. Not saying the BBC is perfect, but it has generally worked out pretty well. You don't
Correct.
see a lot of government intervention into that.
Yeah.
But as long as it's guided by what we call standards-based journalism,
Mhm.
right? So there are certain standards that we that are universally
Common practice,
accepted in
yeah.
journalism that you must adhere to. So, for example, truth and accuracy in your reporting, right? You don't report rumors.
Yeah.
You don't report things that may potentially be inaccurate. You make sure that it's accurate and true. That's one of the principles. Another one is, for example, objectivity, fairness, and
Vast.
balance,
Yeah.
right? Fairness and balance, making sure that you get both sides of the story.
Mhm.
And another one would be another example is accountability.
Mm.
Okay, so that's a key tenet of journalism that people always forget. That when we make a mistake, we actually hold
Retract.
ourselves
Yeah.
accountable for it as well. We make a retraction, we make a correction. So that's super super important. You don't see that with a lot of maybe independent sources of information nowadays. So you can publish as many stories as you want, and then it gets a lot of traffic. And then when it's wrong, and you're just like, oh, let's just sweep this under the carpet, right? But that speaks a lot to the credibility of the organization, and also it's again, if you don't correct you don't make it a point to correct your audience, then you have actively misled them, right? So you wanna make that a key.
Then
So
you're a
you,
gossip column.
yeah, I guess, or worse, your propaganda or whatever.
Propaganda.
I don't know,
Yeah.
but so you want to have these standards in place
Yeah.
aside from the legality of it, of how the legal structures are set up
Mm.
to make sure that there's independent government, independent publicly funded journalism.
Right.
You still have to make sure each of these organizations operate on those strict standards of journalism
Sure.
that is required. Yeah.
And it still makes a big difference if you have like everybody just saying one side of this side or supporting this side.
Mm.
It should be balanced, you should hear both sides. And sometimes
Yeah,
I see
yeah.
some like debates, all three of them are opposing and one person is just pro, and then that one person just gets a voice like, hey, and then that's it. It's all, oh, so it doesn't have enough representation also in some cases.
That's right.
I want to talk about now the Ford Academy, the things that you're doing there. Can you share a bit about what kind of consulting or training and services that you offer in your organization?
Yeah, right now we focus a lot on content creation training. So we know that that's quite a big market at the moment. A lot of people want to learn these skills on how to produce multimedia content, how to shoot video, how to tell compelling stories in digital formats. So we do that a lot, but we also run a lot of journalism-based programs, obviously. For young people, we feel a lot of journalism skills are actually very, very underrated. So these are very important soft skills, or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
So the ability to check your biases, to be as objective as possible.
Yeah.
The ability to practice active listening, like what we do during interviews. We listen. It's yes, of course we focus on the facts, and as part of active listening you do get a lot of the facts, but you also start to look beyond that, right? You start to empathize with whoever you're speaking to.
Yeah.
So all these we feel are very important skills that are very transferable across all disciplines and all sectors. So we do a lot of that type of training as well. Yeah,
Are
that's
they
Ford Academy.
would you say they mostly like journalists studying students, or are they your students that enroll in your courses?
Right now it's a mixed bag. Yeah, lots of people from different courses. Obviously, a lot will be from like your media faculties and universities. We've had a lot of interest from young adults, people in their 30s and 40s asking us, and they're from like all kinds of fields. There'll be like lawyers and whatever. They're like, oh, I think maybe I can use TikTok to tell people about legal stuff. I don't know. And so we get people like that signing up as well, which is really really fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
And could you tell us a bit about your course? Is it like a full day course? It's going to be a 4 day or 2 days? What do you have?
We do all of it. We do like 1 day workshops where people want to come in and maybe practice one particular skill, whether it's videography, video editing, whether it's interview skills, storytelling. So those are like 1 day, half-day things.
Right.
But we also have longer, like 3 to 4 day programs where it's much more comprehensive. You get to go out and practice. We'll provide you the camera equipment, so you get to practice shooting in a professional setting. And you produce a piece at the end for yourself. So yeah,
Nice.
all
Awesome.
kinds. Yeah.
Customizable. I'm going to go into commercial production before my last question. Could you elaborate on commercial production services offered by the Ford, and how does this align with maybe your social enterprise mission?
Yeah. So, I mean, if we're being very honest, like the commercial work pays the bills.
Yeah.
Right? The commercial and there's probably an argument to be made about why don't you just do commercial work and yeah. But we're even in the commercial work we do,
Mhm.
and thankfully the team has been great with this as well. We always try to make sure that it's again values based, values driven, it's impact driven. So a lot of our commercial work, we help a lot of clients who are in the impact space,
Mm.
NGOs, international NGOs, and foundations of even the larger corporates have foundations, and they may have certain like CSR or like ESG type messaging that they want to get across. And thankfully, that's our wheelhouse, right? That's what we've been doing all this while.
Right.
So yeah, so we give them strategies on how to communicate that effectively. In some cases, we even propose actual impact campaigns. So we're not just communicating what they already do.
Right.
We're telling them what you're doing is not super effective.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what you could do instead based on our experience, and here's a communication plan as well. So it's kind of like A
Oh,
to Z, like end to end.
wow.
Yeah.
That's quite nice. I mean, and if that's working well, I mean, go on with it. I
It's
know.
working okay. It's working all right. We're
And
getting by.
education, y'all have in this field the last year.
Yes, since February this year, so that's like 8 months, 7 or 8 months. So we're fairly new. I know you guys been doing it for a long time, so we've much to learn. But yeah.
Always, always learning, always trying new things. You
Yeah,
gotta
yeah.
just keep up with the times and adapt. And as you know, people want to learn how to do TikTok videos to teach law. It happens. So you gotta be ready and prepared. Just want to find out. Last question before we go to the rapid fire round, which
Okay.
is our fun games time. Just want to see what can we expect to see from the fort in the coming days. What are you trying to shake down and turn heads around?
Yeah, so one of our co-founders, Elroy, he just produced a brilliant piece called "The Apartments with No Entrance." It's exploded, and everything Elroy does turns to gold. So it's
Oh
not
wow.
even surprised. But I think that's something hopefully we can build on. I know he is still working on that.
Right.
And then there's that issue with the farmers evictions that we were just mentioning. That was why
Right.
we were in Perak earlier today. Hopefully that's something we'll be able to make some impact on as well. It's again very, very complex issue. It's not as black and white as a lot of people try to make it out to be. So we're gonna hopefully try to tell that story, do it justice, and then help help everybody involved reach a very equitable solution.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing a little bit in this few minutes that we have. We're gonna go for a quick break before we come back. Out. All right, we're back with Late Night Connections, and this is our rapid fire round. Okay, so in this round, Ian, we got some questions. I hope you didn't see or try to see because
I have terrible eyesight.
oh, I'm sorry for you. Me too. Okay, so our rapid fire questions, 10 questions. Answer it as fast as you can.
Okay.
Okay, so finish this sentence. I like journalism because.
We can help people.
Ooh.
By the way, I'm terrible at rapid fires because as a journalist, you want to answer everything
with thought,
perfectly,
right?
right? I'm
Yeah.
terrible at these. I'm just apologizing in advance, but go
It's
ahead.
okay. Video or photographs?
Video,
TikTok or YouTube Shorts?
YouTube,
Shorts. Okay.
Shorts, yes.
And you have to pick one: environmental issue, human rights issues, or animal rights.
Oh no, it's all intersectional. There's no way to separate them.
Okay.
They're all intertwined. All
Safe
intertwined.
answer, right?
No,
Safe
it's
answer,
true.
okay.
People need to realize that. Yeah.
Just say I go SDG all the way. Okay. Where do journalists hang out?
They don't.
What? I mean, like in a bar, coffee shop, or like
We hang
they
out
like
at work.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
right?
has to be like a safe place for y'all. Don't say police stations.
We don't really have at least for our team, we don't really have a spot.
Huh.
Not really. Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'll make you a spot.
Sure.
What is the most important story? What is most important, story or award?
Story, for
Of
sure.
course, yeah. I don't know why I wrote that even. If a client is asking for more edits, above 3 edits, I will.
We will grin and do it.
Very nice. Client C, very nice. If someone has a writer block, I usually advise them to
Take a walk. Not in a bad way. Like actually go take a walk and
go fish,
yeah, but like take a walk.
take a walk.
No,
Okay,
it's-
not take a hike for good. Lah.
No, no, no.
Right.
Just go for a
Okay.
walk.
My most important tool,
My laptop.
my most important trick.
I can make any piece of text shorter and easier to understand.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
So you like to summarize?
Yeah.
But it's more the headlines, is it? Or
Anything. Yeah. Chances are I'll be able to make it shorter, sweeter, and easier to understand. That's the only thing I'm actually good at in life. Yeah.
Okay, so we found the trick.
Which is not immediately like
I mean,
apparent because I
people
speak.
don't read so much, so shorter captions, great.
Yeah, yeah, no, I should say it's not very apparent when I'm speaking, but when it comes to a piece of text and I have time to look at it, I'm like, yeah, I can probably take some time with this. Yeah.
All right, so you got a special skill there.
Mhm.
A win for me is when a story gets.
When the story gets some kind of impact out there.
Okay. Procrastination or perfectionism?
A bit of both. They're kind of intertwined, right? Sometimes
I don't know. We were hard trying to figure out the question here, but we were like,
yeah.
really
Sometimes I procrastinate because I can't get it perfect. It's strange. Yeah. And then one day it's just like, okay, I got it. It's yeah.
All right. And last one, the Fourth Academy is
Amazing.
Okay, we'll do that one more time. The Fourth Academy is
Amazing.
Right. Okay, thank you very much for that and answering some of the questions that we had prepared for you. We have a small token of
Yay.
thank you from us.
Awesome.
Just a little
Cute.
bag.
Nice.
You can fit all your stories in there, hopefully.
Yeah, we'll just stick 4 bars and it'll be like the 4th as well.
Oh, wow. Yes, so thank you very much. I want to leave without having to say much, but to give it to Ian to just share your socials, your final words, aspirations. Take it away to the camera.
Sure, yes. Hi, it's Ian from The Fourth. Please support our work, support the work of incredibly talented young investigative journalists who want to do great impact. You can follow our work at www.thefourth.media or any socials. Just look for The Fourth. You should be able to find us. So please support our work. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ian. Bye-bye, everyone. This is the Late Night Connection signing off.
I just realized the show's called Late Night Connections. Sounds like a dating show.